We are talking about the best meal plan for weight loss and your complete guide to the whole process so you can create your own meal plan that is truly effective and is going to bring you results. Because no doubt you've surfed the internet, you've put many different searches into Google, best meal plan for weight loss, best meal plan for keto, best meal plan for intermittent fasting. Whatever it is, you're on the hunt, you're on the search for the best meal plan. So stop searching on Google, stop looking for that best meal plan across Pinterest, Instagram, wherever it is you're looking, because lucky you, I'm going to walk you through the entire process right now. But not just that. We're not going to be just talking about creating a meal plan. We're going to be going into a much deeper level to give you even more information so that you can come away with this, not only knowing what the best meal plan is for weight loss, but actually knowing far more about nutrition than you ever thought you would learn in about 20 minutes. So this is going to be 20 minutes well spent of your life. May turn into 30, depends on how much I waffle on. So let's start with the real basics. Now, there's a question out there which many people wonder, many people ponder, like the meaning of life. It's almost like the meaning of nutrition. And that question is it more about what you eat, or is it more about how much you eat? And that's one question that probably plagues you on a frequent basis, or at least you've pondered that question at some point in the annals of time. Is it what you eat, or is it how much you eat? You've got people will kind of bracket as the clean eating brigade. They'll be telling you it's all about what you eat. It's all about how nutritious your food is, about eating the right foods. There's certain foods that are inherently going to make you fat. Maybe that's sugar. Maybe that's processed food. Maybe that's fatty meats. Maybe that is saturated fat. Whatever it is, the kind of what you eat type of person will be telling you that there's these good foods and these bad foods, and therefore you have to have the clean foods, or else the bad foods, are going to make you fat and kind of, knock all of your progress out of kilter. Then you've got the people who focus on how much to eat. So they'll tell you that it doesn't really matter what you eat. It's all about how much. It's all about calories, energy balance, all of that sort of stuff. So who really is giving you the right information? Because as soon as we get that bit right, then we understand really the basis of how this meal plan for weight loss is actually going to work. Now, it really is super simple. It doesn't have to be made super complicated. You don't have to have a degree in nutrition or anything like that to work this bit out. But it's often made confusing. That's right. So the key thing here is energy balance. It is more important how much you eat than what you eat. And that's not to say that what you eat isn't important. But what we're talking about here is what's more important. And what's more important is how much you eat. Think of this as like a pyramid. Now, the base of this pyramid is how much you eat. How many calories you are consuming on a daily basis is the base of your pyramid. As you get further up that pyramid towards the top, then your food choices start to matter more. But if you haven't got this how much you eat foundation right, there's no point moving on to the next bit, the next element. So yes, nutritious food obviously has its place in a healthy diet. You obviously want to eat more nutritious food, but in terms of weight loss, your key focus should be on how much you eat. And this is all about things we call energy balance, calories in versus calories out. It's about understanding how many calories you eat and drink versus how many calories you burn. If you consume, i.e. eat and drink, less calories than you burn, you will lose weight. Fact. If you eat and drink more calories than you burn, you will gain weight. Fact. If calories in versus calories out are completely matched, you maintain weight. Fact. Those facts are undeniable. That is the real truth about the foundations of what you need to have in place in order to create a meal plan for sustainable weight loss. If you haven't got that first bit right, The rest becomes irrelevant. So if you're not losing weight, for most people out there, that will be because your energy balance equation is not yet right. So that's where you need to focus your attention. Now, a lot of people will say, oh yeah, but Simon, a calorie isn't a calorie. You know, this calorie, i.e. the calorie from a fucking avocado, is different to this calorie from some Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Now, that again may sound logical to a lot of people. You know, the avocado is highly nutritious, got lots of vitamins and minerals. The Ben & Jerry's ice cream hasn't got the vitamins and minerals to that degree, and maybe therefore a calorie isn't a calorie. But this is where I've used in the past, if anyone's seen on Instagram, I use a bit of a manhood analogy. So we're talking a bit cock and balls right now. Now, if we talk about manhood for a second, now, if you got two dudes in a room, no funny business, just two dudes in a room, and they flop their manhood out on a table. Now, let's say they're both the average size of 4 inches, because, you know, that's big, right? Yeah. Now, they've got the manhood on the table. Both are 4 inches, right? One dude, sadly, you know, his doesn't work. The other dude is like a virile monster. He's a beast. But they're both still 4 inches. And that's like calories. So a calorie is like a unit of measurement. It's like an inch, a meter. It's just measuring something. In this case, it's measuring energy. Now, when people say a calorie is not a calorie, what they're actually talking about is the nutrient content of that food, that calorie. And yes, a avocado versus Ben & Jerry's has more nutrient content, but in terms of energy, they're the same, or calorie for calorie, they're the same. So when you're talking about energy balance, you really just have to focus on the total calorie number. Now, again, I will repeat, that does not mean to say that what you eat is not important. It just means that we are building this pyramid. We are building the foundations first. We have to get that foundation right, or else the rest of it starts to crumble and tumble down. So before people get hot on my tail and start to email me or message me on Instagram to say, dude, you are fucking wrong. It's not, you can't tell people they can eat ice cream and lose weight and blah, blah, blah. Fuck off. You can. Sorry. But it's true, you can. And therefore, we focus on this foundation first. We get in that foundation of calories first. And then you might say, well, okay, what about keto? And what about intermittent fasting? And what about paleo, veganism? All these things, aren't they the best diet for weight loss? Well, the answer is those diets work. Now, you might not expect me to say that, but they do work. Keto works, intermittent fasting works, going vegan works, but they work not because they are magic. They work because they help you to create that calorie deficit, if that diet works for you. So if keto, by removing most of your carbohydrate from your diet, creates a calorie deficit, that diet will work. If by following intermittent fasting, skipping a meal and eating within an 8-hour window, for example, helps you to create a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. If by going vegan and cutting out animal products from your diet helps you to create a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. However, if you follow a keto diet, remove all your carbohydrates and still overeat on calories, you will not lose weight. And it's the same for every other diet. And this is where it comes back to principles versus methods. The principle of a calorie deficit enabling you to create weight loss is what you focus on. The method by which you get there is just entirely up to you. If you are someone who just doesn't mind not having carbohydrates, really likes high protein, high fat foods, keto might really work for you. If you are someone, maybe you're busy, office worker, skipping breakfast is just like, yeah, it doesn't bother me. And I prefer to have more calories in the evening. Cool, intermittent fasting will probably be a good option for you. And with the clients that I work with, I use many different approaches. So I've got people that have tried a ketogenic diet. I've got people that have tried intermittent fasting, normal kind of just setup, and all different types of diets, because that's what worked for them. And that's the important thing, is you understand that energy balance, calories in versus calories out is the most important thing. Then finding the method by which to create that works for you and you can sustain for the long term is really what's the most important thing. So we got that bit right. Now, you then might say, well, are there any foods that you should definitely avoid? Are there these like the diet killers? Are they out there? You know, like sugar, like dairy. Dairy is scary if you've ever seen that bullshit of I'm not even going to say, I was going to say the word documentary, but it's not a documentary. It's just a stupid video on YouTube that's not true. And you might even say, I don't know, fruit. Even people say fruit is a bad thing. Now, reality is there's no good foods and bad foods. You can't really think of food as this epic moral decision to say, it's not like judge and jury that this is good, this is bad, therefore never have these foods, always have these foods. It just doesn't work like that. What you've really got to think about more is creating, again, and it comes back to you and your ability to adhere to a specific way of dieting, is what is the balance that's going to work well for you. Now, most people will go through this sort of like, you've heard of like 80-20 rule and things like that. So making sure that 80% of your diet is coming from fruit, vegetables, fresh meat, fish, dairy, whatever it is that you enjoy, that's going to make up 80% of your diet. Then 20% of your diet is going to be all the other stuff. So if you want a donut because Sue's having a birthday celebration in the office, she's brought the cakes in, you want a donut, that fits in your 20%, cool, fill your boots, go for that. If you want a slice of pizza with your, while you're watching Netflix in the evening, cool, go do that. Or maybe you're like my nan who likes a few squares of chocolates with a cup of cocoa in the evening. Fucking hell, that's not the end of the world, is it? Especially if the rest of your diet is highly nutritious, you're getting all the vitamins, all the minerals your body needs. Why not have something in your diet that makes you happy and helps you avoid cravings, avoid like going off the rails and binge eating at the weekends? Why not have that in your diet to make it more sustainable? And in terms of dairy and sugar and all those other things that you've probably heard are super bad and you should never have in your meal plan, I've done podcasts, articles on all those things and proven that they are not this inherently bad thing. So I would urge you to go out and listen to those, read those articles, and really get confident and comfortable that there are no really these good and bad foods. It's not this epic moral decision. So then you might say, okay, now I get it, right? We're not eliminating certain foods. We're eating what we enjoy and we're keeping this balance with 80-20 rules. And it's a case of focusing on calories first and foremost. Again, not saying everything else is unimportant, but you really want to make sure that you're having the right number of calories. And then your first question is going to be, well, how do I know how many calories to eat? And because I'm such a nice guy, I'm going to give you that information for free because I'm such a good guy. Now, if you click the link in the notes, that will take you to a free ebook download of something I've called Fueled for Fat Loss. And it's essentially a walkthrough guide of how to calculate how many calories you should be eating in order to achieve your goal. So it works if you're looking to lose fat, and it also works if you're looking to build muscle or maintain. It's the same process. Now, what I've done as well is basically I've laid out over a number of different steps, super simple way, and it's the actual way I use to calculate calories for my clients. So if you go on my website and you see all of the different testimonials, basically they've been created using that same formula. So you can definitely see that it works. So again, it's less about just trying to pick off the shelf like government guidelines of 2,000 calories or 2,500 calories, or just picking up some random plan off of the internet that says, you know, eat 1,500 calories. You've got to work out what's right for you because your lifestyle is going to be different to the next person. Your body type is going to be different to the next person. That's not to say like endomorph, ectomorph, and that sort of horseshit. I'm just talking about like genetics. And it will mean you might have some sort of medical situation. You might have PCOS, which may influence how many calories you have. You may have hypothyroidism, which may influence how many calories you have. So all of these different things you have to take into consideration and basically calculate how many calories you need. So there, once you've got that point in place, there are some then things that you want to focus on, because we've got the calories right, but we don't want to make our diet like a 5-year-old's birthday party. Because if you're rocking up to eat your meals and they consist of, I don't know, Haribo, crisps, cake, and that's all you eat for 3 meals a day, but you stick to your calories, that's kind of not what we're trying to create here. I wouldn't class that as the best meal plan for weight loss. So what do you focus on? So the first thing I would get people to focus on is really focusing in on protein. Now, protein is good because it helps you stay fuller for longer. It does burn slightly more calories than any other macronutrient, which is a good thing. So you're going to get slightly more calories burnt through having a more high protein diet. And it's going to help you build muscle. It's going to help you preserve muscle, and also just generally make this journey a little bit easier. Because if you're not hungry all the time, because protein is going to help with that, then that's obviously going to be a good thing, right? Now, within the guide I'm going to give you is you're going to get the guide on how much protein to have as well. But roughly speaking, you're talking anywhere between 1.8 and 2.7 grams per kilo. Now, that's a real broad range, and you can kind of limit it down. Like 2 grams per kilo is nice and easy to remember. So that's kind of the ballpark figure you'll hear people talk about. But it can go slightly less. You can even go less than 1.8 grams per kilo, depending on the situation. If you're just looking purely for a little bit of weight loss, then having such a high protein diet doesn't matter so much, but it could help you with the hunger side of things. So it's well worth considering that. So as long as you're still hitting your calories, you're getting that right amount of protein in, that's a great place to start. Then move on to your fruits and vegetables. Get a bunch of those into your diets, get a good variety in there, get a good mix of different fruits and vegetables, so that you're trying to basically, without going to the nth degree of planning, you're getting the vitamins and minerals that you need. So just pick a range of different fruits and vegetables on a regular basis, switch it up, keep it interesting. Don't be frightened of fruit. Definitely don't be frightened of vegetables and things like that. Get that into your diet. Now, in terms of like health and trying to have like good habits, I would probably say that, less refined sugar is probably a good thing. I'm not saying you have to eliminate it totally, but I'm just saying less might be best. And likewise with processed foods. Processed foods, again, you can have them and, you can still lose weight. There's nothing wrong with that. But you probably want to keep it to a minimum. You don't want to have your whole diet based on refined sugars and processed foods. So, again, it's about striking that balance, about not restricting things and taking them completely out of your diet so that you end up going, fuck it, at the weekend and just going right off the rails. It's about creating that balance that works for you. Also, one thing you might want to think about is 0-calorie drinks, because one of the pitfalls that people fall down is they drink a lot of their calories. And by that, I mean like fruit juices, Coke, sodas, things like that have a lot of sugar in them. Now, that can be from fruit or it could be from just added sugar. Now, the reason why I say don't drink your calories is because the actual process of eating and the volume that food takes up in your stomach and the process of digesting helps you feel fuller. So if you're going to have fruit, best eat it rather than drink it because of that reason. And definitely in terms of sodas and things like that, because you've got a large amount of refined sugar in there, it's just almost wasted calories. You're going to be in a stage where probably you're going to be, at some point during the day, you might be hungry. So having lots of calories almost wasted on drinks and high calories sodas is probably not going to be your best option. You're probably best having water, Diet Coke, don't worry about the sweeteners, and then just having the food version of that in terms of calories and just keeping yourself feeling fuller. So the real thing there I'm talking about is making good food swaps. So if you're always having Coke at the moment, switch to Diet Coke, and just make sure that you're kind of making sensible food choices. Cool. You then might say, okay, now we've got the foundation of calories. We're talking about 80-20 rule. We're not eliminating a bunch of different foods. We're prioritizing protein. We're getting lots of fruits and vegetables in there. The meal plan is starting to kind of pick up pace now. It's kind of starting to look pretty good. You might then say, well, does the meal plan need to consider what time I eat these foods? Now, the real answer is no. The meal plan should not even bother considering these things. Obviously, if you're doing an intermittent fasting approach, you're going to have this specified eating window, which is cool. If you are kind of not going down that route and you're thinking, well, should I have food late? Is that all going to turn to body fat? No, it's not. If you're managing calories, then it just does not matter what time of day you have your meals. You can have them at spaced throughout the day in 3 normal kind of meals like normal people set up, or you can go like pure bro and you can go 6 meals a day and things like that, or you can backload it and have a bunch of calories right in the evening if that works for you, whatever. Again, it comes back to this word called adherence. If you can adhere to the calories that you've calculated, you're going to make a massive amount of progress. If you can't adhere to the calories that you need to, because either you've created a very restrictive diet or you've created a diet in terms of, set up like 6 meals a day and you just can't stick to 6 meals a day because it doesn't suit your lifestyle, your adherence is going to be low. And if you're not consistently adherent, then you're not going to make progress. So whatever meal strategy, meal timing strategy, meal frequency strategy, whatever you want to call it, whatever works for you and your lifestyle is the best one for you. And that doesn't have to be set in stone day after day. You can flex it. So again, like as an example for my clients is that one sort of technique that I kind of get some people to use in certain situations is at the weekend, do a little bit of a skip breakfast scenario. So during the week, they might be having breakfast, that suits them. At the weekend, they might be saying, well, okay, I'm going to go out with my family. I'm going out with my friends. I want a bigger meal in the evening. I want to have a few drinks. Cool. You normally have, let's say, 450 calories for breakfast. Let's not have those 450 calories for breakfast and let's put them to dinner and make dinner 1,000 calories instead. And okay, now we've balanced that day out. We've had the foods that we enjoy, but we've hit our calorie target at the same time. So flex your frequency and your meal timing to really suit you, because it just doesn't matter. And then the only other thing that I would add on to that is your nutrition around your workout. So if you're working out on a particular day, then you probably want some protein before and after you train. And that would be kind of the only thing that I would kind of get you to maybe think about in a little bit more detail. The other thing you can do is you can, if it helps, portion out your calories by meal. And what I mean by that is, like, if you had, say, for example, 1,500 calories is your target for your meal plan. That's going to be what you need to do to hit your meal plan. What you can do is a real simple way to do it is just say, well, that is, for example, 3 500 calorie meals. And therefore, when you're out and about or you're trying to track things in MyFitnessPal, maybe you haven't had time to meal prep, maybe you haven't had time to plan things. You're out and about, you're at a service station, and you need to find something for lunch. Quickly, then you can just look at the back of the packet and you can say, okay, well, I've apportioned like 500 calories for lunch. So as long as whatever I pick hits 500 calories, then cool, I'm done. And that's a nice way to think about it. Again, you don't have to stick rigidly to those things. You can flex that and move that around as much as you like, but it's often a good way to do it. So the next part of your awesome meal plan for weight loss is probably going to be supplements. You might say, well, is there a supplement that makes my meal plan way better than it could be in any other scenario? Now, unfortunately, there isn't many supplements to take that are really going to be any sort of benefit for weight loss. Sadly, all of the fat burners and things like that really are kind of not really going to do much benefit whatsoever. What you really want to focus on is a couple of different things. One will be omega-3. So if you're someone who is not getting very much oily fish in your diet, then supplementation with omega-3 is going to be a good thing. Proven to be beneficial for health, and some proven elements to helping you lose weight as well. So that can never be a bad thing to get the old omega-3 in. The other one is vitamin D. Vitamin D is something you get mainly from the sun. You do get a bit from your food, but not enough to hit your requirements. If you live where I do in the UK, you probably don't see enough sunlight. So you're probably going to need to supplement with vitamin D. So I'd definitely add that into your regime if that suits you. If you live in freaking South Africa or Australia, I'm sure you're getting enough sun, you probably don't need vitamin D. But if you live in the doom and gloom of the UK, and like me, you're in a hoodie and a hat most of the time, then yeah, you'll probably need to supplement with some vitamin D. After that, caffeine is probably the only thing that's going to help you from a weight loss point of view. It'll give you a slight metabolic benefit, so you burn more calories with some caffeine. And it also has a very, very tiny appetite suppressant effect. So it could help you alleviate some of those hungers and craving sort of issues that you may have had in the past. Bear in mind, though, that lots of food you may not realize have caffeine in it. So you've got your caffeinated drinks like soda, like Monster energy drinks like that, or your pre-workout has probably got some caffeine in it. Chocolate's got caffeine in it. All this sort of stuff got caffeine in it. And obviously coffee and tea and things like that as well. So just bear in mind how much you're having across the day. 2 to 6 milligrams per kilo per day is kind of the range you want to be in. And again, if you don't want caffeine, it's not going to have a huge detrimental effect on your weight loss, but it can have this small incremental benefit as well. So there is the entire structure of your meal plan. So you're really going to focus firstly in on, if we do a little bit of a recap, you're going to focus in on how much you eat as the first piece of the puzzle. Working out how many calories you need to have on a daily basis in order to achieve weight loss. It has to be your first point of call, first place to start. And if you want to know how to do that, there's the link in the notes to the free guide that will guide you through that entire process. So I recommend you grab that. Next, you're going to then think about, okay, well, I want to optimize my diet for health and making sure that I'm, eating well. So then you're going to focus on protein. You're going to focus on fresh vegetables, fruit, and you're going to make sure that 80% of your diet is highly nutritious. At the same time, you've got that 20%. That 20% allows you the flexibility to have the donuts, the pizza, and things like that. And it also keeps kind of like a cap on the amount of refined sugar, the processed foods, and things like that. That aren't inherently bad. We're going to get away from the good and the bad terms, but you're having it in a controlled manner. You also then want to think about, there are certain foods that you don't have to avoid. So don't worry about all of the things around dairy. Don't worry about all of that sort of nonsense, and artificial sweeteners, all of that type of thing that probably you've kind of heard about in the past. Don't worry about that. And then just make good food choices. So for example, make the good food swaps. Don't have the high sugar soda drinks, swap them for Diet Coke or water or whatever it is that you want. Make good food swaps that help you to stay fuller for longer. So therefore, you're getting in that good nutrition as part of that sort of 80-20 rule. You're then going to move on to, consider around your workouts and what you're going to have around that. And it's really going to be a bit of protein before and a bit of protein after. That's kind of roughly speaking where we are. And I've done a full podcast on both of those. So go check those out if you want more info. In terms of frequency of meals, it really doesn't matter. Find what works for you. And then in terms of supplements, it's going to be more about, probably for most people, omega-3, fish oils. It's going to be about vitamin D. And if you want it, a bit of caffeine. They're going to be the component parts of the best meal plan for weight loss. And really, again, like the take-home point from this one is focus first on calories in versus calories out, and adherence. Adherence being how well you can stick to that plan for the long term. If you just get those two component parts right, then you will make progress. Add the other stuff on top once you've got that foundation set, and you will definitely have an amazing transformation. You'll be leaner, you'll be healthier, and if you're going to the gym, you'll also be goddamn stronger too. And what does all that lead up to? It leads you to being a freaking badass. So I hope you enjoyed this little bit of training, this little guide through the best meal plan for weight loss. If you did, then come and say hello, drop me a message, whether that be on Facebook or whether that be on Instagram at iron_paradise_fitness. Come say hi, drop me a DM, and we will have a bit of a chit chat about maybe some questions you've got. Feel free to ask me questions. I don't bite, at least not via the internet anyway. So for now, I'll just say, keep living the lean life, and I will see you very, very soon for the next installment.